Hi guys, it's Talented Tabs here, and I'm back again with another episode of Relationship Talk, whereby today we are going to talk about overcoming the aftermath of living a toxic relationship. If you're new here, welcome back. Bear with me if you see me looking down. I'll be referring to my notebook because this is quite a heavy topic, and a lot revolves around relationship, and in particular, toxic relationships. And many people ask themselves, how do I cope? How will I deal with the self-blame of leaving this toxic relationship? What will I do after I have left? And how will I take care of my mental state? And some of these questions we are going to try and answer them in this video. So I hope you will get answered, and feel free to also drop in your questions and we are going to tackle them in the upcoming videos. So the first question is, how will I cope? Some self-care tips, because self-care is important, and most of the times when you're in a toxic relationship, your health is neglected and the other person tends to take the center stage and you forget how to take care of yourself. So number one, you need to maintain a good and constant support system, and this can be found through healthy online communities. You can get a support group from people who understand and people who are going to share with you. Even a professional can act as your support system. Number two, in which you can cope and take care of yourself, is surround yourself with positive people. Positive vibes, that's all you need. Because many people will have opinions, and opinions are okay. And we may not really control their perceptions of what made your relationship not work, and that is not within your control. So just focus on positivity and that will take you very far. Number three, don't allow feelings of neglect or self-blame to take the center stage. Something that happens with toxic relationships, individuals get to adapt toxicity. And self-blame is one of the traits of being toxic, whereby you yourself can also be toxic. And this can happen actually very unconsciously. So you need to really keep off blaming yourself. At times you may feel like, maybe I had something to do with this, maybe I would have stayed longer, maybe I would have done this and that, but that is not upon you. It didn't work, and it's okay for it not to work. So don't blame yourself. Then number four, take time. So do not jump from one relationship to another. Take time to heal, because you actually need it. And at times you are like, okay, for how long will I heal? What will I be doing even in this healing? At that time, you can also just take time to be comfortable with yourself. When was the last time you can remember you sat in your own space and you were just comfortable with being you? So take time. That is very important. Number five, talk about your feelings. And probably you've tried this and you were talking with the wrong people and it didn't really go well. So talk about your feelings. Look for someone who can journey with you. Someone you will not mask your feelings, because also toxic relationships make us mask how we feel, because we always don't want to look vulnerable. But at this point, I'm saying that it's okay. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to feel like, wow, I have so much going on. Talk about that. Number six, which we have constantly mentioned, seek professional help. Then number seven, don't be afraid of sharing your story. And you may not be ready now. You may not be ready in the next 1 year. You may not be ready in the next few weeks or few months. But whenever you're ready, do not be afraid to share your story. Because in the sharing, you will get to also maybe be a voice to someone else who is also suffering in silence in a toxic relationship, and they don't know how to come out of it. So share. Talk about it whenever you're ready, and that will really be of help. Make new friends. I cannot emphasize that further. Healthy friends, because that network will actually be very beneficial to you. And last but not least, do not victimize yourself. And all these are ways in which you can cope. At times we feel victim, and it's okay to feel like that. However, we are saying do not victimize yourself. Many of the times that toxic people will always see you as the one who was on the wrong. They will call you names. They will make you see and feel responsible for the relationship not working. Do not be a victim. They are the ones who didn't see the best in you, and that's why it didn't work, and it's okay. So do not victimize yourself. Self-blame is also another trait that is often there when you leave a toxic relationship. And this is toxicity on its own. It's a hard word, it looks harsh, but that's the truth. So how do you move beyond self-blame? And this is how you can move beyond that. And one of the ways in which you can move and avoid self-blaming yourself is remembering the reason and the motivation. It's okay to feel that and to feel tangled in all the emotions that come with blaming yourself. However, you can move beyond this by telling yourself, these are the reasons that made me move. I was constantly in fear. I had lost my voice. I had lost my identity. I had lost so much of me. And at times, always remembering the reason and the motivation that made you leave that toxic relationship will always keep you afloat. And at times, we are quick to just remember the good times. Yes, they are there. But these good times, do not let them overshadow the many times that you felt neglected, you felt abused, which can be emotionally, physically, financially, sexually, physically, and all that. So do not forget, do not let the good times override the many times that you are not able to speak out. Also, self-blame at times may come as a result of the constant trauma that has been caused in this toxic relationship. And trauma at times can make us feel like we will never get any other partner. It's toxic to actually keep blaming yourself. And some of the positive affirmations you can give yourself, because many of the times that no one will actually tell you, wow, you're strong, you're beautiful, you're courageous, you're confident. And these are words that you need to constantly reassure yourself. And keep off from blaming yourself. Remember, we have said the trauma that was caused in the toxic relationship can actually become toxicity on its own, and it leads you to self-blaming yourself. Then we may ask yourself, okay, yes, I have moved. So how do I heal? I am trying. How do I heal? Yes, we've talked about the self-care. We have talked about not blaming myself. But how do I heal? So at times, and many other times, we need to avoid letting the other person keep a part of us forever. Toxic people tend to have a way in which they will kind of like control your life. You're trying to move on, but constantly they'll make you feel like you're not good enough. No one else deserves you. If it's not me, no one else will have you. So you need to keep off and ensure that you have cut communication. You have cut that feeling of the other person has kept a part of you forever, and moving beyond feeling stuck. And it's okay to feel stuck for whatever duration that you will be there. However, even in this feeling stuck, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing? How are you dealing and how are you processing all these overwhelming emotions? So this is actually very important. Then, even as you're healing, you need to love yourself. Depende. No one else will love you the way you do. And when was the last time you treated yourself? When was the last time you just took a good nap or ate a good meal or took a warm bath and just felt good about yourself? Love yourself. You don't have to spend a lot of money on yourself, but you can do good things that are just time, quality time within yourself. So also at that point, it's also important for you to note that the other person doesn't have to be the reason that you enjoy. And yes, you had the good times, but you can also create those good times within yourself. How you can improve your mental health now that we're talking about healing. And there are 3 basic tips. There are so many we can do, but I like to summarize them in 3 ways. So the first one, you need to recognize that you are in a toxic relationship. Unless you recognize, no other person can help you actually recognize it. So number 1, recognize. Number 2, you need to leave that toxic relationship. It takes a lot of courage, but you have to leave. No one else will tell you to leave, but until you decide to leave, that will be the second way in which you'll be taking care of your mental health. Then number 3, you need to ensure that you're dealing with your emotional, mental, physical, psychological, social, spiritual aspects in a positive manner. So number 1, we've said recognize, then live, and ensure that you're taking care of yourself holistically. These 3 are actually very important, and this will help you take the next step and the next level to discovering yourself and just being comfortable with who you are. Many of the times people will ask you, how do you know that the toxic relationship was affecting you? There are psychological effects of toxic relationships, and toxic relationships get into our systems, and we find ourselves being in constant fear. So feelings of fear of the unknown. At times this fear can also be as a result of you're never sure of what will happen next. You're never sure of the next word you'll be told. You're never sure of the next feeling or emotion that will come out. So there's that fear. Also, feelings of low self-esteem. This is a psychological effect whereby you no longer believe in yourself. You no longer feel important. You no longer are able to speak out and speak your mind. So that's also a psychological effect that comes about. Also, you may have feelings of helplessness, anxiety, depression, insecurity, paranoia, and you may even actually develop personality disorders. And this personality disorder can be based on what you have been seeing your partner do to you, and you actually tend to think that that is the normal way in which you need to behave. And all these are dangerous, very dangerous, and you need to heal from that. Especially if you do not unresolve all this, it can be detrimental to your health, and not just mentally, even physically. You may start having symptoms. You really don't know where they're coming from, but they're actually rooted from the toxic relationship that you're in. Toxicity can also be seen whereby you will start actually lying to people who knew you. You will find yourself gossiping. You will find yourself creating reasons and excuses every time because of what is happening within you. And this can actually have a long-lasting effect on your own health. And it's important to know that, wow, if I don't do what we were talking about, the 3 stages or the 3 steps in taking care of your mental health, you can actually lead, or it can actually lead you to those psychological effects. And the last bit of this episode, we like to look at, how do I know that I'm in a toxic relationship? You're probably listening to this video and you cannot really comprehend, how do I know that I'm in a toxic relationship? I'm here to give you a few questions that you can actually just reflect on, and to just think and introspect of where your relationship is at. And you can ask yourself the following: am I harming myself to help you? And if the answer is yes, you need to seriously get to work on yourself. You can ask yourself, am I feeling traumatized? And by traumatized,
Angalia kamera.
Go.
Angalia lens, ujue sasa.
3,
Sasa utarekodi.
2, 1, go.
Nikai vizuri, endelea.
2, 1, go. Daddy.
Let's go wash. Hapo nikupandulia kioo jioni. Lakini hata inakata.
ukiguza
Hata inakata zaidi.
Daddy.
How do I know that I'm in a toxic relationship? And these are some of the questions you can ask yourself, and just try and reflect and introspect in your own time. And this can actually help you draw a picture of all what we are trying to talk about. So number 1 is, am I harming myself to help you? And if the answer is yes, you need to get serious to work on your wellness, because your wellness at this point is at stake, and you need to really just work on that. Then number 2 question, you can ask yourself, have I been contemplating to do something, either to myself, either to another person? It could be a thought that comes and goes. But if you're actually having these questions, this can be an aspect of trauma. The trauma that has now been caused in the toxic relationship, that is translating to the anxiety, the helplessness, the depression, the paranoia we were talking about. And at times, all this can just be events that can actually make you do something that people will be so shocked. And also you'll be shocked with yourself, like, wow, is this me? So trauma. Are you having any symptoms of trauma? That will be question number 2. Question number 3, are you having questions or doubts about yourself? And in this case, are you blaming yourself? Are you having constant self-blame games? And one of the common things is, I'm not good enough. How many times have you been saying, I'm not good enough? I am not worthy. I cannot move beyond this. I have to be here. I have to make this work. If you're having those self-blame questions, I guess this is also a time and a reflection that needs to make you know that, I guess I'm in a toxic relationship and I need to do something about that. So question number 4 is, can I do without this individual? Can you? If the answer is no, you need to know that you're in a toxic relationship. And what do I mean by this? Our toxic relationships have a tendency of making us believe that we cannot do without the other person. And also toxic people have a tendency of making us believe that we cannot do without them. And this is actually a lie, because you are an individual and the other person is also an individual. And anytime you find yourself forgetting who you are in this relationship and you're like, wow, if this person isn't here, I can't eat, I can't breathe, I can't do all these things, I can't wake up to go to work, that's a warning sign. If you feel you cannot do without this person, just take one step back and just reflect. Ask yourself, when did I start feeling like this? And have I put this person above myself, above the one who even created me? And I guess those are some questions that can guide you to just reflect on that. And these 4 questions are actually important, and unmasking that your mental state is at a point that you alone can achieve it and make it better, that's a good place to begin at. People will not understand. We don't want them to understand. But what do you want? I know it's not easy to even just think of the thought of, I've invested so much. I have invested so much emotionally, mentally, socially, financially. And at times it's like, am I just going to throw all these down the drain? And when will I get myself back to place? And all these questions are okay. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling. It's okay to feel like you don't have a starting point. But from today's video, we have seen that there's a place we can begin. We can overcome the aftermath of living a toxic relationship. There is life. You are important. There is life beyond that toxicity. There is life beyond all that is happening to you. However, you need to recognize that you're in a toxic relationship. You need to ensure that your well-being, emotionally, socially, mentally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, they are checked, and you need to just live. So I wish you the very best, even as you make these hard decisions for your life. And at times, if you feel stuck, feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm a counseling psychologist by profession. I offer both virtual sessions and physical sessions. We are currently based in Nanyuki. However, I will put our office contact below, and you can also reach to us and also book with us for a therapy session. And I'll be glad to also journey with you. And thank you so much for watching this episode on relationship, and see you on the next ones as we keep tackling and exploring how we feel. So until next time, it has been your host, Talented Tabs. Bye-bye. Bye.
I got.
Sub.
Oh, my mommy, you.
Thank you.